Jeff will go through a few simple steps of setting personal goals that can help move your life in a direction of your choosing, so you can make it happen. Jeff Newkirk, make it happen.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Great to see you here. Confucius said, "The man who says he can and the man who says he cannot are both correct." Henry Ford tweaked that a little bit and said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." So what is that telling us? The first time I heard that, my son was at wrestling practice. It was at the end of his practice. He was about 10 years old, and the coach brought all the kids in the center of the mat and went through a little pep talk. And he said that very quote from Confucius: "The man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both correct." And I thought, well, my 10-year-old son's not going to get that. What is that? He's not going to understand what that means. So I asked him, "Peyton, do you understand what Coach was telling you?" And he said, "Yeah, I do. I'm going to be the one who can." I thought, cool. All right. Smarter than I thought. But we create our own self-fulfilling prophecies. We can decide whether we can or whether we can't. It's up to us to make that happen. Why don't people set goals? What's the one predominant reason why we don't set goals? It's mostly fear. It's fear of following through and achieving what we said we wanted to achieve. It's not necessarily commitment. It's the fear of not achieving what we wanted to initially achieve. And we have to put that fear aside, and the best way to do that is to develop some goals that make sense to us. Develop a plan to make that happen. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So step one is decide what it is you want to achieve. What is it that is important to you? What do you want to see happen in your life over the next week, over the next month, over the next year? Whatever that one thing is, make that a goal. It has to be of interest to you. You have to have passion around it. If it's not going to be of interest to you, you're not going to pay attention to it. You're not going to think about it on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly basis. You're not going to track how you're doing towards meeting that goal. So it's got to be of interest to you. You have to have passion around what it is you want to achieve. Make it specific. Make a goal that is specific for you. You can't just say, in my situation, my goal right now is, and I talked about this last week or last time we met, finding a job. I'm in a job search situation. My goal is I got to find a job. But that's not specific enough. My goal has to be, I'm going to find a job. I'm going to find a job in the Peoria area. I'm going to find a job using my background in education. I'm going to find a job using as I said, my background in education and in a compensation level that is based on my background and where I'm at now. That's my goal. It's pretty specific, and I think it's achievable. And that's the other thing. You have to make sure that the goal is achievable. You can't have an outlandish goal that you're not going to be able to meet. You have to have a goal that's achievable. It has to be relevant to your life. Well, finding a job is definitely relevant to my situation. Okay, that's something that has to happen. And make it in a time frame that is realistic for you. So for me, finding a job tomorrow is not realistic. So my goal is not to find a job tomorrow. But the goal has to be within a time frame that is realistic for you to achieve. That could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year. But it has to be something that you're passionate about, and it has to be in a time frame that works for you. It has to be achievable, it has to be relevant. So step one, decide what it is that you want to achieve. Now, how are we going to get there? Step two, develop a plan. And that plan needs to be short-term and long-term. Short-term for me, every day I am applying for jobs. My objective each day is to apply for at least 2 jobs. So that means I'm on the job boards, That means I'm networking. That means that I'm making contacts with whoever I can meet. But my objective each day, my short-term plan, is to apply for at least 2 jobs each day. Over the course of a week, hopefully 10 to 14 jobs, applications will be out there. Right now, I'm at about 80 applications, and I'm just going to keep going. It's all about numbers, all about making it happen. So whatever it is you want to achieve, whether it's finding a new job, losing weight, meeting new people, reading books, your short-term plan has to be something that you can track on a daily, weekly basis. So you can look back and see how you're doing. And then in the long term, look at how you're doing each day, each week, each month. And then over the course of that month, you have to have some plans associated with achieving that goal. For me, it's I have my resume updated, I have my references updated, my reference letters of recommendation. So the long term is more working towards achieving that goal and taking the short term and each day building into that long term. So you're looking at what you can achieve every day, every week, and then over the course of a month or 6 months or a year. Step 3, you got to be flexible. I know that what I plan to do every day, every week, every month, and over the course of the next 6 months, I have it pretty well set, it's structured. But I also know I have to be flexible. I'm not very good at that. So I have to really do some self-checks along the way and know that, well, my resume may need to be tweaked. I may need to reach out to a few other references to get other letters. I may need to look for a job outside of the Peoria area. I might need to relocate. There are things that are going to happen along the way that are going to challenge you, and you have to be flexible enough to realize that those challenges mean that maybe you need to make a change. You may need to alter something. You can't be so structured that you lose sight of the big picture. And the big picture is meeting your goal. That's what you have to do. Step 4, don't give up. Stay positive. Last week was kind of a tough week for me. I had had a couple of interviews and a couple of rejections. And I got kind of down about that. So you really have to be in a mental state of just stay positive. Make your faith, whatever you have faith in, mine is in God, that has to be greater than your fear. Your faith has to be greater than your fear. If your fear is greater than your faith, you will not achieve. And that is why people don't set goals. So you have to have faith in something that's bigger than you. And you can make it happen. So one of the best quotes I've heard was one of the more recent Rocky movies. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Rocky movies, but one of the more recent movies, Rocky was talking to his son outside of a restaurant. And I just love this scene. His son is kind of being difficult, challenging to his dad, Rocky. And so Rocky kind of gives him the pep talk. And he says, life will knock you down. And it's not about how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Take a hit and keep moving forward. That's how you win. That's how you achieve your goal. So don't think about hitting. Think about the challenges that you'll be faced with, the bumps in the road, but keep going forward. Challenges are going to happen. Bumps are going to happen. Yeah, I don't want to be in a job search situation. It was the last thing I wanted to do. But it happened. I'm going to stay positive. I'm gonna meet my goal, I'm gonna make it happen. So, one of the last quotes I want to leave you with, Thomas Edison said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up." Can you imagine if Thomas Edison gave up? That timer wouldn't be working. Right? So, set a goal. Make it achievable. Develop a plan. Be flexible and don't give up.